This show is a proud member of the Bat Squad Network. For this and other great shows, head over to batsquadnetwork.com.
This is Geek Revolution Radio,
a show for geeks by geeks.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Geek Revolution Radio. My name is Ryan Bennett, and with me, as always, is Mr. William Hatton.
What's going on, folks? Here, ready to do another show.
Yes, we've got a really good one lined up for y'all this week. This week is our directorial episode, and we're going to be talking all about Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited for this episode. I've been going back and listening or watching some of his films and just really love his work, man.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a baptism for me, so we'll get into that in the second segment. But to start out the show this week, you know, it's today's Friday, and I'm sure that some of you scratching your heads going, this is what happened on Monday. There was no new episode. The reason that there wasn't a new episode is I am just coming out of being sick. I was really sick with a head cold. I could barely talk. So we didn't get a chance to get you guys an episode earlier in the week, but as you can tell, I've got like a real deep voice right now. So oh yeah. So that's kind of fun. My daughter thinks it's really funny too. So, but I'm starting to feel better, and so yeah, here we are doing the new episode. So it's pretty nice. I'm pretty excited. I've got my first weekend off in a while. My work has been working me like a dog on the weekends, and luckily I've got this weekend off, so we're going to do this episode, and then we're going to enjoy ourselves a weekend. So, well,
yeah, and I mean, it's good to kind of start getting out of it. You know, I hate getting sick. Like you said before we started, like you getting sick sometimes is a week-long thing, and that's, I think, normal people experience that, and it's like just completely the worst.
That's true. I mean, like these people are like, oh yeah, I had like a 1-day head cold or a 1-day flu or whatever. I'm like, what is that like? Yeah. Like for me, if I get sick, I'm just like, well, I better carve out the whole next week, and I'm going to go through an entire, you know, I like to take the liquid like Tylenol or the liquid like, you know, cold medicine because I feel like it gets in my system faster. But every single time I go through exactly one bottle of both the daytime and the nighttime. Like that's a week's supply apparently. So
yeah. That's funny.
Anyway, what's new with you, Will? What's going on?
So I started a photography business back in September. This is my first venture foray into my own business or personal business. Like I went official, have like an LLC and everything, filed with the state and with the IRS. So I went big into it and slowly realized that owning your own business is hard as hell.
Especially when you've got a day job, right?
Yeah. So I was also, working at the TV station as well. So I've kind of put it on the back burner. I haven't like completely tossed it aside, but I'm not really actively seeking business right now. And within the first 3 months of starting my business, I came to realize that as a business owner, as a business, you have more people coming at you trying to take your money than ever before. Like I would get calls from solicitors trying to sell me products, trying to get me to buy different options, advertisements and different things. And a lot of it is like very, very sketchy places. Like I would get calls from like call centers in India, like, hey, would you like to buy this? I'm like, no.
Yeah. No. That are sashaying under like a New Hampshire phone number or something.
Yeah. And I remember that for a while there, I kept getting like a call every other day from the same place asking if I wanted to if they wanted to lend me money, if I would accept money from them. And every time I said no. And I at one point I said, like right off the bat, I was like, look, I politely tried to tell somebody the last time I listened to their little whole spiel. And at the end I said, look, I'm not interested. Can you please take me off the list? And the second you say that, they hang up the phone. They won't even like acknowledge you.
Oh, really?
And that's what makes it feel super shady. It's like if they don't even professionally listen to you when you say something like that. And I had one time a woman said, you're a stupid idiot, and then hung up the phone. I was like,
you're a stupid idiot. Wow. Is that what you call tact? Whoa.
But, yeah. So that's always fun. That was part of the fun of starting my business, and always kind of being on guard, have red flags and stuff like that. But right now, so back in September when I started it, and just a month ago, I had something happen where I didn't realize this was a thing, but somebody tried to scam me here in the States, I assume. And I did some research after it happened this last time. But basically, they tried to get me to do a really expensive job. So my most expensive package is like a wedding package, like full day, whole day, all the pictures. And so they try to ask me to do the most expensive thing I can do. They add stuff that they want me to do, so I have to give them a different quote, like more expensive. Can you also do this, this, and this? And they won't talk to you on the phone. I've been talking, like the only way they talk to you is through texting or through emails, and they're persistent. Like they just keep hitting you up. And like finally, like I'll tell them, like, look, unless you're willing to talk on the phone, or I also tell them, like, I only take one like payments through PayPal, like right. I'm not going to accept odd different end things. So looking it up, it's like this weird scam. Either like the theories are, it's either to test to see if they've got a stolen credit card that it could accept high-end items. So like they want to see if it'll work to buy like a $2,000 or $3,000 item. Or the second option is that it's a scam to get extra money, and it's just like really weird. And so like I like this foray into photography business has really left me kind of jaded, kind of on guard anytime I see anything from it. And so this morning I get an email, and this is just one of those things where like maybe the Sherlock Holmes in me is like peaking or very interested. But in the email, it just has my last name ? And then inside it has is a photo of a girl, and like she looks sort of familiar but sort of not. And so that's all the email was. And so I was really curious about this, and it was to my business email. It wasn't to like one of my other personal emails. So
right,
I'm like, who is this person? I didn't mean to select the image to download it, because I'm like, well, what if it's like a virus and they're like, my stuff? But it's through Gmail, and I read it up on Gmail, and they say any attachments get scanned for viruses, both before you open it, and then when you open it, they actually scan for viruses then. And so I don't think it's a virus, but just this morning, I woke up looking at it. I'm like trying to figure out who this person is, and I thought, well, maybe it was somebody that I knew back when I was in the Army. So I'm like trying to like just racking my brain, and so I just like I immediately write them an email just saying, yes, how can I help you? Because I figure, well, if they're actually looking for business and they're just like really weird, maybe they want my business. But I then write, well, is this so and so? From back when I was training in Maryland. So the person this morning when I was sleeping, I work early morning, so I sleep during the day. They wrote me back and said, yes, I moved to Syracuse in Utah, and I looked you up and saw that you were in Texas now. How are you doing? And I'm like, how could you, like, if you are who I think you are, and you're trying to hit me up, why are you being so brief and so weird?
Yeah.
Like
it's not like a typical conversation that you would have with somebody.
No. And like, even if it's this person that I knew back in training from the Army, because she says yes, ! To my question, is this so-and-so? And so I respond because I'm like, well, I'm short string here. I got red flags up the wazoo. I don't even know if I want to talk to this person. And so I just respond with, how do I know you? So don't be offended by this, but I get scammed all the time. How do I know you? And where did we go to school? And this, it's not like a traditional school, so they're not going to be able to, oh yeah, we met at, University of Texas. That's
right.
That's not the school that we met at. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. Cause
you never know, right?
Reconnect with old Army friends. That's cool. But, no, this is really weird.
Anybody can download a picture from the internet too, especially if you have a public Facebook thing. You know what I mean? It's really easy to look in your list of friends and be like, oh, this person is, I mean, it seems like it'd be an easy way to put together a scam. And I work in IT, and I experience these. I mean, even in your thing about the picture, even though Gmail scans it or whatever, you have to also understand that for the most part, the antivirus and the security field is reactive. It's not proactive. They don't know. They don't know how to fight a virus until somebody gets hit with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I clicked on it at 11:30 last night when I was super tired. Didn't even realize I pressed it till it was too late. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have pressed that.
Well, I mean, you have a Mac, so you're probably fine either way. I mean, most software, most viruses are developed to attack Windows, not they don't usually bother with Mac. But it's funny that you bring that up, because I just had my first person calling me trying to scam me ever the other day, and I'm real privy to this kind of stuff. I don't. I don't send nobody anything unless I know for sure who they are or whatever. And somebody called me the other day, and it was this is a message from so-and-so, this is our final warning, or our final, call to reduce your interest rate or whatever. And we had just gotten some new credit cards, and I was like, well, that's not due till the end of next month or anything like that. So I was like, right. Maybe something's messed up in their system. And so I thought it was American Express calling me, for example, and I was like, okay, I'll just hang on the line or whatever and see who this person is. So they connect me with somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, we're calling because we saw that your account was in default. And I was like, it's in default. I was like, I just checked online and it said it's not due till the end of next month. And they're like, oh well, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you tell me what kind of card it is, and tell me the number, and I'll see what we can do about lowering your interest rate back down to the normal percentage. And I'm like, who is this again? They're like, oh, this is, so-and-so. And it was this is kind of setting off some red flags for me. And I'm like, listen, if you don't tell me who you are and who you're with, I'm not telling you anything about my credit cards or what kinds of credit cards I even have. I didn't even tell them that I had an American Express or anything like that. So I said, unless you're going to tell me who the hell you are, I'm not going to give you anything. And next thing I hear is click. And I'm like, oh, snap. Yeah. And, it was in my phone, it was a New Hampshire number, and which I guess if American Express was trying to contact me, then maybe, they'd call from a weird New Hampshire number or whatever. I don't know. But it's one of those things where somehow they're getting information, or somebody is selling them the information that, hey, this person signed up for, a new credit card. There's an opportunity here that while they're trying to get their account all set up, that you could scam them into finding out what this information is, kind of thing. And it's a brand new credit card, so it has, a huge limit that hasn't been used at all yet, kind of thing. We just got a Sky Miles card. I don't know that it matters, but we just got a Delta Sky Miles credit card because we're flying back home in June to Utah, and I was buying my ticket, and it's we'll give you $50 off your statement, and you get a free bag when you fly. And I'm like, shoot, that's $100 it's saving me right there. So not only did I sign up for a card, but then I had Sammy individually sign up for a card and individually book her flight. So we got we both get a free bag now, and we both got the statement credit and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'll use a card for 2 months before I just cancel it and close it, and then I'll open another one the next time I'm flying, and I'll pick up a whole bunch of free miles in the meantime and get a free flight. So that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, it just baffles me how the world we live in, and there's so many ways that people are trying to rip you off, whether it's physical technology stealing your identity and stuff like that.
Yeah,
to actually be running weird scams like this. It's the same thing. I dealt with somebody doing the same kind of thing that sounded similar to marketing company that I used at the time.
Oh, right.
They had a very similar name, and so at first I thought it was them calling me about something.
Right.
But they would go into this whole spiel, and I was like, wait a minute, I've already signed up for the marketing. Why are you trying to sell me on the marketing?
Yeah, like what's going on here?
Like, oh yeah, we're not them. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're done here.
It's funny. It's like people don't, like nobody's robbing banks anymore. Nobody's like holding up stores unless they're like idiots because all the crime and all the like robbery and stuff has all moved to digital essentially. It's all like stuff that's happening online. Like I read an article earlier today about, the thing that since I've started working in IT and they've kind of peeled back the Oz curtain of the internet and I've been able to kind of see what's out there. It's a terrifying place because nobody like my company is working their butts off to secure everything that they have. But I know that, we have 12,000 IT employees that we just hired in the last 3 years. And I'm like, most companies don't have this many IT employees, let alone IT employees that know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? Like Joe Blow, any financial institution, no matter who it is that you use, your credit union, your bank, Chase, Wells Fargo, whoever you've got, there's no way they have the resources to allocate somebody to make sure their networks are 100% protected all times. They just don't have the resources and they don't spend the money. And I was reading an article today about some, local credit union in some state in the United States. They got robbed for $80 million because they were using a really crappy, not a router, a switch, an internet switch that we run all your LAN cables through. They were using a really crappy router switch that didn't have a firewall. And these people were able to get in there and steal $80 million.
Yeah, I mean
that's crazy. Right. That's so much money. That's better than holding over a bank, dude.
Yeah, that's a huge heist right there.
Speaking of Reservoir Dogs, that stuff would be that would be on like the whole thing would take place in like some guy's basement in front of his computer if they were going to reshoot that movie.
A bunch of guys sitting around a computer.
Well, is that all we've got this week as far as
that's all I got. I'll fill you in as we go. I mean, whether this person's actually legit, but I'm going to put my money down on not legit because if this person was legit, I feel like I would have gotten more response. I would have gotten more than just like half a sentence,
Yeah, and it's one of those things though, like you said, when you start a business or when you start making a decent amount of money, like everybody's got to get a piece of the pie, Right. It's so annoying. I hate it. It's like it's terrible, but I guess that's the cost of doing business in the United States right now. So
yeah. I mean, that really is kind of how it is.
Yeah. So let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to deep dive into Quentin Tarantino. So hold tight. This is Geek Revolution Radio.
Foolish mortals, if you value your souls, you can reach Attention Deficit Order Radio on iTunes and SoundCloud under Attention Deficit Order Radio by email at AdioRadio0@gmail.com, on Facebook under Attention Deficit Order, on Twitter at AdioRadio, and BoboBroadcasting.com.
Hello, you know me. I am Bennett, and you're listening to Geek Revolution Radio. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, wait. We're doing this over again.
That was perfect.
No.
You didn't, what?
Okay, hold up a second.
Hello?
No.
What?
Okay, here, I'll cue you in, and we'll go.
You do not cue me in.
Okay, I'm not
Hello?
trying to say
I
anything.
work for ADO Radio, and I'm trying to do a plug for Geek Revolution Radio.
Okay, I'm gonna start it right now. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
Ready? Hello, this is Ben. You know me. I am from ADO Radio, and I am promoting Geek Revolution Radio. Right? Is that the way it goes?
No, you did it wrong.
What?
No, okay, just Geek Revolution Radio.
Okay.
Make it legible.
All right.
Okay.
What, are you making fun of my speech?
No, I'm just enunciate. It's
I do
not
one
beyond
take
your
and one
grasp,
take
dude.
only.
Okay.
Under protest. All
Okay.
right, go ahead. Go. I'm ready. You all know me. You know what I do for a living? I'm Ben. I'm from Adia Radio, and you're listening to Geek Revolution Radio. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Mike W.
I'm Mike T.
And we're from the Other Mike and Mike show over at theothermikes.com. And right now, you're listening to Geek Revolution Radio. Bitches!
And welcome back to Geek Revolution Radio. This is Ryan. I'm here with Will, and we are here to talk about Quentin Tarantino. We're going to start doing these episodes occasionally where we talk about, some of our favorite directors out there. And I don't know, Will, if we chose Tarantino because he's necessarily one of our favorite directors, but he's definitely a director that has some movies we really like and a lot of movies that neither of us had ever seen that we probably should have seen at some point. So I think that's partly the reason why we chose Tarantino.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I mean, I feel like there are other directors that we love, probably more than Tarantino. But I think, I feel like Quentin Tarantino is just one of those directors that has a specific style. Like, he is identifiable. Like, whereas then there's some directors that, you can insert blank director's name here and you wouldn't even know who directed that movie.
Yeah.
But Tarantino is specifically unique, and I honestly had seen I've seen all but two of his movies.
I think there's still a bunch I haven't seen.
Yeah, he's definitely got a style.
Well, he has a style, but then again, he also breaks that style because, you can say he has a certain style of movie, but then you look at something like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and he shot that movie exactly the same way that a Chinese director that was making that kind of movie would shoot it.
Yeah, that's true. What's interesting to me about Kill Bill, in terms of relation to The Matrix, it was a pop icon. I feel like there were a lot of things from Kill Bill 1 that was taken straight from the movie, like in terms of commercials, in terms of comedy, a lot of the same way that things from The Matrix were. And I was just watching it this week going, man, this movie was huge.
Yeah, and I own both of those movies, but it's been a little while since I've watched them. So it's one of those things where I went back this week and watched Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, two movies I've never seen before. And, and then I was looking at I kind of got on a little bit of a Tarantino, kick a little bit, and I was like, man, I wish I wasn't so sick because I really want to go through and watch Kill Bill 1 and 2. But I was just kind of dying on the couch instead. So
when you're sick, you've kind of got time. So let's go ahead and handle a little bit. So
I don't even know really. Do you have a preference, I guess, as to where you want to start? Do you want to start right off the top at Reservoir Dogs?
Well, yeah, let's go chronologically, because I in our show notes, I wrote them out kind of in history, or from first to last.
Are those all of the movies he's made, and only
those are all the movies that he's directed? He's done other things like directing an episode here or there, or he's directed a segment of a movie, but these are the movies that he's actually directed. So yeah, this is his show filmography. Okay, so specifically for directing.
So I watched Reservoir Dogs for the first time ever. Just I don't know, last weekend or whenever it was. And I gotta say, the thing that surprised me the most, first of all, I love the movie. I love the movie to death. It was such a good movie. The thing that kind of shocked me though about this particular movie, because I've seen all of his newer, last 5 or 10 years, let's say, I've seen all those movies. So that to me is, that's Tarantino, but this movie was vastly different than those movies. And the fact that it's super chatty. It felt to me like a Kevin Smith film a little bit, like Clerks, because the whole movie is just dialogue, and it's really, really well written dialogue.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I really like about Reservoir Dogs too, or as well. It's chatty. It's all about dialogue. It's all about it's low budget, but the actors are phenomenal. Harvey Keitel is just phenomenal in that movie.
Now, is he play the undercover cop, or which one does he play?
Harvey Keitel is the one, I'm trying to remember the colors now because they're all different colors. He's not the cop. The cop was.
Oh right, he's the guy that's protecting.
He's the guy that's protecting the cop.
He keeps saying he's not a snitch, and then at the end, it's like the big
Tim
reveal.
Roth was the cop. I really liked his performance too. Like, I honestly, so I'd seen the movie probably 10 years ago. I'd maybe watched only 2/3 of it and just got distracted and never finished it. I was like, you know what? We're doing this show. I have to finish it. I feel like in terms of love for film, I got to finish it. You know, I got to say that I've actually watched it in its entirety.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely loved Reservoir Dogs. I thought like,
dude, that's a movie that I like is definitely going to jump on my list of probably top 50 favorite movies, like easily.
Really?
I'm going to go back and watch it some more because it's really good. The only thing I guess I would say, I love that they kept the movie, basically almost the whole thing took place just in the little warehouse.
Yeah. It was just like one little room.
Yeah, and it you kind of peel back the storytelling is amazing because you kind of peel back the onion of what happened exactly. You know, you find out why the one guy is like got shot in the stomach. You find out, they robbed the bank. They did, this kind of stuff. The only thing I think would have made this movie like a perfect movie is if they could have somehow figured out a way to only have the movie take place just in the warehouse. Don't show any of the heist. Don't show any of the bank stuff. Don't show the person shooting her or shooting the guy in the stomach, any of that. If he could have figured out a way to do the storytelling so that it's like this whole thing takes place just in this one place, that would have been amazing. Totally amazing. And it almost feels more like a play even.
Yeah. Just like the way you're describing it there, that would totally feel like a play. And I think that's kind of why it's good. I think you're right. I don't know if they've done a director's cut or anything like this, but I think if you went through that movie and you cut out all the stuff that wasn't in that warehouse, I think the movie still would make perfect sense. And it's just really incredible to think that, like that was back in, I think about 92. Yeah, man, it's kind of 1992, and it's one of his first like actual director works. Like it's like his first, because he had written some stuff prior to that, and like I don't think it was like anything that you would hang your hat on or anything like that. But
well, it's funny because I mentioned Clerks and Kevin Smith. That came out in 94. Because my first thought when I saw this was like, okay, which one came first? Not that they didn't copy each other by any stretch of the imagination, but I can definitely see where one probably had some sort of an influence on the other. And I've heard Kevin Smith talk about how inspired he is by Tarantino, and I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Smith took a lot of his learning of how to write dialogue from watching something like Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So anyway, speaking of Pulp Fiction, I gotta tell you, that's gotta be Uma Thurman's best movie in my opinion. That's the best movie she's ever done.
Yeah, I would say it's either that or Kill Bill. Like
she's so unrecognizable. Like who she is in Kill Bill, I guess. Like that looks and acts and sounds like Uma Thurman, but who she is in Pulp Fiction with like the drugs and stuff like that, I'm like, when I watch that movie, I don't see Uma Thurman. I see the character that she's playing because it's so good.
Yeah, that is a good point. I really loved Kill Bill or Pulp Fiction. I watched Pulp Fiction when I was like 20, 21, like almost 10, 15 years ago.
See, that was another one I just saw for the first time in the last week.
Oh, wow. It's definitely iconic. It's definitely one of those movies that is, I feel like it's a must see just to experience it because it's such a crazy experience.
Oh, yeah. It's a pure insanity, right? Like the story.
So I watched Pulp Fiction and then I watched Kids back to back. This is back in the day when you just rented a bunch of movies and watched them.
Uh-huh.
Now nobody goes to a place to rent movies anymore.
Right.
Other than Redbox. And if you don't have a Redbox,
well, unless you're in New York, apparently.
But if you're not familiar with Kids, Kids is probably one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen. And it's about these kids that are all like, 13 to 16, 17. And it's a day in the life of these kids, and it's all very messed up. They do some seriously messed up stuff. Like one kid only likes to have sex with virgins, and so he's like seeking them out. Turns out he's got AIDS, so he's going around giving 13-year-olds AIDS. It's like super dark.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie, and you're definitely not like selling me on it. I'm not going to run out.
yeah. Go see this, man. It's great.
Because you're right. I mean, there were a lot of things about Pulp Fiction that were mildly disturbing.
Yeah, and so I watched both of these movies, and I had to take a break from movies for a while. Like I was kind of had this like traumatized experience out of watching both of those movies together, because it just like left me questioning humanity. Like,
you're just in the shower, letting it run on you, trying to wash off the Tarantino.
Right. Yeah.
I will tell you this though, just like what I said in Reservoir Dogs, the storytelling in Pulp Fiction, and granted, Pulp Fiction takes place in a variety of different locations.
Oh, yeah.
The storytelling is superb. It's so good. I really like the storytelling.
I love who I don't think Tarantino edited it, but whoever edited this movie has super chops, because they did something incredible, because you basically have so many things going on, and like it's literally all over the place. And that's probably a very Tarantino thing. I think kudos to his style of storytelling, but the editor was able to, I think, do the same, like kind of put it all together. It was edited by I don't even know if I could say this person's last name, Sally Menke. Yeah, I mean, just phenomenal, because this, like, I think editors oftentimes get kind of like the unnoticed.
Yeah, and a lot of time it makes or breaks a movie, right?
Yeah, it really is. Like, sometimes the editing is everything, and this movie, like, it's choppy. You go from like the beginning to the end, and you have all these different segments. And that's just probably how Tarantino wrote it out. And so I don't know. I think it just the style of this movie in that regard of like storytelling, where you get the timeline, something that happens near the end of the timeline at the very beginning, was really interesting to me.
Yeah. Now, where did you fall on what's his name from Grease? John Travolta.
Oh, Travolta. Dude, he's awesome in this movie.
He was high that entire movie though, like legitimately, right?
I would guess maybe, yeah. I mean, that's probably.
I should look out there and see if there's any, because I was like, this guy is high as a kite. Like, he's not acting; he's actually high. Like,
yeah.
I thought he was amazing. I agree with you. I thought he was like, it was one of those things where John Travolta's kind of a hard guy to put in a movie because he's John Travolta.
Right, he's going to be John Travolta in everything you put him in.
Yeah, but kind of like Uma Thurman, like I didn't, like maybe for the first couple minutes I was like, oh, this is John Travolta, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like the same era as when they made Grease. But then after a little while, I guess I got kind of sucked into all the debauchery of what's going on in the movie, and I just started seeing like the guy that he was playing, and I thought he did a really good job, and I had no idea that he was ever in a Tarantino film.
Yeah, he was really good in this one. And I kind of feel like the same way. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the People versus O.J. Simpson on FX.
I haven't watched it yet, no.
It's really good. I was not interested at all, because it's like one of those shows, or like kind of like Titanic, where I know how this is going to end.
Right.
But they did a really good job, and he was actually really good in it. I was really surprised. But yeah, like in Pulp Fiction, he did a really good job in this. Samuel L. Jackson was really good. I personally loved the story between Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames.
Yeah.
How that played out.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness, how, like, unspoken, bond between them of almost being tortured in a in a basement.
Yeah, and the thing, I guess that's the brilliance of Tarantino, especially in this film, is that he's got all these guys in this film. He's got Sam Jackson. He's got all these people that we know from other stuff that are
Right.
notorious for other things they've been in. I wouldn't say they're necessarily like recognizable as, oh, that's the guy from Pulp Fiction. They're all recognizable from oh, that's the guy from Die Hard, or that's the guy from Star Wars or whatever. But the way that their acting was and the way that the writing was in the movie, it totally pulled you in. Like, especially with him, you know, like I thought he was great, and I was like, man, this is like a real person. Like I'm seeing like the inside life of like some kind of like a, you know, like borderline redneck hillbilly guy that's got his girlfriend, but then he's got to go back to his apartment because she, you know, forgot this watch of his that he has to go back and get. And he's like, he knows he has to go get it, but he knows he's probably going to die. And all of his plans are, you know, foiled basically. And I didn't see him as an actor, which is the best part of a movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's always when you can tell it's a good movie.
And I think you're right. I think there's so many, like, that's the thing about movies that are like this, where you've got so many people in it that you know, that you recognize from other things. And like, you know, you'll have like a blockbuster movie with tons of people in it, and it doesn't have the same feel of this. This is a piece of art. Like, whereas in other movies are just kind of, this is a thing to get your money.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because like Tim Roth specifically hasn't been in a whole lot of stuff other than Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. Like, to me, I'd never seen either of these movies before. So to me, he was that guy that was from that show Lie to Me that used to be on Fox. You know, and like I had no idea. Like, oh, this guy's like he was cut from the Tarantino cloth. You know,
right.
That probably would have maybe changed that show for me a little bit, which I watched, you know, a couple seasons of, but very interesting.
Now, what I liked him in, he played the villain in the Incredible Hulk, the one with Edward Norton.
That's right.
And I mean, he's been in other stuff, but yeah, like to me, like he's also in Hateful Eight.
Is he?
Yeah, but there he goes, another Tarantino film.
Yeah, okay.
But I think you're right. Like when I think of Tim Roth and I see his picture, the first things that come to my mind are Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, and that's probably going to be the case forever.
Right, for sure. Well, I mean, that just goes to show how your experience varies from mine, just because we've seen different films. You know what I mean? So that's really interesting to see how that plays into future stuff. You know what I mean? Because now that I know he's in Hateful Eight, it's like now I'll think of him as the Tarantino guy. Where had I seen Hateful Eight in the theater, which would have been before I watched either of these movies, I'd have been like, oh my gosh, that guy from Lie to Me, Tarantino put him in his film, having no idea that he was in, you know, the first two movies that he did.
Right.
So let's jump over to Kill Bill, volumes 1 and 2.
Yeah, I watched these movies again this week, and I have a friend that's like really a huge movie buff, and like he went to film school. He's doing film in Georgia right now.
Mm-hmm.
Loves movies, and so I kind of tagged along with him to go see this movie in theaters. This is like the first Tarantino movie I'd seen like in theaters. I actually think it's the only one that I've seen. Every other movie of his I've either seen, you know, on the small screen. I don't think I've seen any of his other films on the big screen. But Kill Bill 1 is phenomenal, and I'd say Kill Bill, the first one is very different from the second one. Like it's almost like a different style movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, and like I said, I saw these a couple of years ago, and I would say that Kill Bill 1 is definitely better than 2, but on the same hand, they're also kind of like one long movie.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true, because I watched them like back to back. You know, I took like 4 hours out and just watched both of them. And I love Uma Thurman in these movies. She is just awesome in it. I feel like there are so many things that I love about these movies. I love the fight scenes, specifically with each character. Each character that she's going after is like special. Like I love it.
To me, it's funny because when I watch that now, it feels a little Scott Pilgrim-y.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Like where you got to defeat the evil exes, not necessarily their exes, but you know, it's like there's
5 people. Yeah, 5 people that she's got on her death list. You know.
Yeah, and it's like you said, Uma Thurman is absolutely incredible. And you know, there's that Fall Out Boy called Uma Thurman, and I never knew until I saw Pulp Fiction what she wants to dance like Uma Thurman. I was like, when I was watching Pulp Fiction and she's like has that scene where she's dancing, I'm like, aha, this is what that line in that song refers to. They you know they're writing a song thinking about Pulp Fiction, because before that I was like, what are they talking about? You know?
Yeah.
Like I was like, maybe they know her in real life or something. I don't know what that means, you know? But you're right. She's phenomenal in Kill Bill, and the movie really rides almost completely on her back through both movies.
No, absolutely. Like she is the main character. All the other characters are kind of like, especially in the first movie, she's it. But in the second movie, you start to get more of Bill.
Yeah.
You start to kind of get the relationship of like who this guy is. Which is very interesting in itself. But like in terms of storytelling, like this is a really good story. I really enjoyed it. Really fascinating to me. You get to the end of your journey only to find out that your daughter is still alive at the hands of the person that tried to kill you. Like, what do you do? I remember like coming to that conclusion again after watching it for so long ago. Going, how does she play this out? Because, does she forgive him? Does she decide to have a family with this guy because he's been raising her for, 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it really kind of fascinated me, in terms of their relationship, because she's basically gone on this war path, killing everybody at her, that comes in front of her.
Yeah, I agree. And still movies that hold up too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Actually all of them. I mean, I haven't seen Jackie Brown, which we didn't talk about, but I also haven't seen the next one, Death Proof. But I would say Kill Bill 1 and 2 and Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, they all still hold up very well.
Yeah, and I think I definitely think I could probably watch Pulp Fiction at any time. It's one of those movies like comes on television. Hey, I got nothing going on. Let me turn it on and watch it, because it's just any moment of the movie is entertaining.
Yeah,
like you don't have to watch it in its entirety. And just all around enjoyable film.
Well, and I can see now that I've seen them why they're such bit. Like everyone's always, the first reaction if you tell somebody I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction, anybody that's listening to the show is probably yelling in their phone right now. But they're going, "What? You haven't seen it?" Like and rightfully so. Like this, if you haven't seen it, you won't be disappointed. Like you're going to be like I was, probably very surprised at how good these movies are. That's how it went for me. So.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, I've seen Death Proof, which is the next one. Like I've only seen it once, and it's definitely, I'd probably say this is my least favorite of Tarantino's films. It's definitely a weird one, or different, I would say.
Yeah, I've heard real good things about Jackie Brown, so it's definitely on my radar of something I want to watch. But maybe I'll skip Death Proof.
Well, I mean, I think it has its merits. It's basically about a guy that kills women through his stunt car. It's got what's his name?
Is this the Robert Rodriguez one?
What's that?
Is this one that Robert Rodriguez is in? I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, they did like this grindhouse double feature type thing where they kind of work together. Planet Terror was.
This is the Kurt Russell one, right?
Film. And this was Grindhouse was Tarantino's, and he did. Kurt Russell is the main guy, and he basically has this undestroyable car that he's able to kill somebody in the back seat. And he basically gives women that are in distress rides home from the bar, and along the way, like he kills them.
Like an Uber or like.
Like
it's like an Uber story, like we used to. Last week. Okay, I got
the original Uber.
The original Uber story.
It's got a lot of really good people in it. It's got like basically these 3 women fall victim to him.
Uh-huh.
Instead of falling prey to him, they beat the crap out of him and kill him.
Oh, okay.
It's very dark, but no, it was an enjoyable film in terms of. I would give it like a C or a B. I wouldn't give it the Tarantino A,
Right. Well, this next film is Inglorious Bastards. Is honestly, it's one of my favorite movies. I'd have to put it. It'd be pretty high up on my list. It's such a good movie, and the thing I guess I like the most about it is it's completely fictional. It's fictional, but based on something that's not fiction.
Right. It has like a historical feel to it, but it's also fiction. Yeah,
he's like, hey, what would happen if World War II went this way? Like, this is the way that Americans wish World War II could have gone.
Oh yeah.
Like just going in there and massacring Hitler in a theater with an Uzi or whatever that was, that would be greatest of all time, right? Like instead, he just jumped out of a window like an idiot. You know, it's we never got at him, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah. This is probably one of the first Tarantino movies that I just like you said, I fell in love with it right away.
Yeah.
Very entertaining, very enjoyable. Like the people that are in this one, specifically Brad Pitt. This is probably
so
one of
good.
my favorite Brad Pitt movies.
I don't know if I could put it above Fight Club, but
yeah, I guess
definitely one of my favorite Brad Pitt movies for sure.
Yeah.
The thing that, and this is one of the cool things about Tarantino, is he makes these very kind of different, well-told kinds of stories. Mm-hmm. But on the same hand, he's not afraid to put somebody like Brad Pitt as one of the roles in that movie. And he's so good at it as a director and as a writer that, you know, and maybe even give some credit, of course, to Brad Pitt as an actor, that you don't see Brad Pitt when you're watching this movie, really. I mean, maybe a little bit with Brad Pitt, but it's like mostly you see this, you know, guy that's leading these Jews that are a part of the military. They're going to go get them some Nazis, you know?
Yeah. I kind of feel like if we end up doing a series like this, we have to do a whole Brad Pitt series.
Oh, that would be
the movies that we love of Brad Pitt. Because I love like probably 10 of his movies. 10 of his movies are probably in my top 50, you know. This one is obviously up there, and Fight Club is just near the very top.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The thing that's cool about this movie is it's got like the greatest villain of all time, right?
Oh man!
And it's his first. I don't know if it was his first movie, but the first time I ever saw Christoph Waltz, first time he ever got on my radar was him playing the SS captain in this movie, and he was scary. He is scary as hell. That is a great performance.
Oh, I love that. The very opening of the movie, like he's walking through this house and very, very chill, very cool, and very cynical or very dark.
Like you would be if you were a captain of the SS.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the thing that's brilliant about Christoph Waltz's acting in this movie specifically, is that he's so good and his writing is so good in this movie that when he's on screen doing his thing, he makes you uncomfortable as a viewer, even though you're sitting here clearly watching a movie. You're like, this guy's like, he's making me very uncomfortable. Like he's going to get me, or like he knows something I don't, because the whole movie, that's kind of his card in his back pocket, is he already knows everything and you don't know what he knows, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I love his interaction with Brad Pitt at the end.
Oh yeah,
like he thinks he's won, and I love how they play it out. Like it's so fun.
Yeah, they put an Easter egg there, or like a cookie in there in the beginning of the movie. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna get these guys, and they're gonna take their uniforms off, and you know, no one is gonna know these guys are SS. So we're gonna make sure we carve that into their heads. And then when it comes back later in the movie at the end, and he's like, I bet when you get home, you're going to take off that uniform, aren't you? And so they get him out and carve the S in his head. You're sitting there as a viewer going, yeah, you know, like this is the great, totally fictional. But, you know, again, as Americans, we're like, this is the way that we all wish it would have went down.
The way it should have gone down. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's move on now and talk about Django Unchained.
Dude, I love this movie. This was a very, very entertaining, different kind of feels. Like you feel like it's historical in the sense that it's a timepiece type movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking place like back in, I think the early, mid 1800s.
Sure.
And I love Jamie Foxx in this movie. He is phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I would say this is definitely his best movie.
Yeah, I would say it's near the top. Like I really like the one he did where he was the president. I thought he played a pretty cool president. But in terms of quality, yeah, this is probably one of his best movies.
I mean, and with Jamie Foxx, he's another guy. I guess this is Tarantino's thing where he's going to say, I'm going to take this guy that's a borderline big actor, because the thing that I know him from is Ray, right? And he was really good in Ray. But they'll take this guy, and then they basically make him kind of like the focal point of the film, and you're like, damn, this is like big. And then all of a sudden, boom, and then there's DiCaprio later in the film, and he's full on like this plantation farm owner guy. Like Tarantino brings out really good performances in these big actors that don't always give good performances, With the except, I mean, don't misquote me there. I'm not saying I'm not saying that DiCaprio. I mean, he's pretty much good in everything he's in. But
I think like DiCaprio does really well to hide the fact that he's DiCaprio. Yeah. And I love that when an actor is so ingrained in his character that you're not like, oh, this is another Vince Vaughn movie where Vince Vaughn is playing Vince Vaughn,
Yeah. And it's funny because this movie takes an opposite approach with the very Christoph Waltz, right? Like he's kind of on, I wouldn't say he's a good guy, but he's definitely not a villain. You know what I mean? I guess he's a good guy from a point of view.
Yeah, he's charismatic and you want to love him. You're like, oh,
yeah. He's definitely doing the right thing. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? But he's really good, like really interesting in this movie, really kind of fun to follow all the way up until the end. And, they kind of treaded into some waters with this movie of not completely PC, right? Like there was a lot of N words going around and, and that's one thing I noticed about, it was either Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction that there was, a lot of like the N-word flying around, but I was like, well, back then it wasn't, it's not okay, but it wasn't as big a deal as it was like trying to make it in the time of Django Unchained. Mm-hmm. It's like a whole other thing when you're, and I remember it got a little bit of backlash, but then again, it not really because it's, it's true to the timepiece the time period that it's set in, right?
Well, yeah, and I think there was a lot of PC backlash for this movie. I think this one got a lot of bad press because of the context and because of it's about slavery and it's kinda, a lot of people didn't like it in those regards. But I don't know. I kind of feel like Tarantino is at his best when he's towing the line of controversy and not caring.
Yeah, doing it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a great movie. I really like this one.
I would say this movie has my favorite scene of any Tarantino movie. And that's the scene where all the, guys are on their horses and they're dressed up in their KKK uniforms that they can't, like, they can't see out the eyes because the guy's wife that made the costumes didn't cut the eye holes big enough. And, randomly Jonah Hill makes an appearance just in that one scene. Like, doesn't make any sense at all. Right. But there he is kind of thing, which is really interesting. And it's like, in a movie that's really dark and has a lot of kind of, serious overtones, that scene there in the middle, like for me was perfect because it kind of lightened the mood to transition into the back half of the movie, Well,
that and I think it's a reminder of these are the idiots of our history and it's going to make them look bad, like this is like what's bad about our history, but hey, they die. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. That's the thing is, like, you have to imagine that some sort of conversations like that did go down with the KKK, right?
Yeah.
Like, they were doing all this nonsense. Yeah. And that's the thing I liked about it is he kind of threw that in there where maybe it didn't even make sense to put that scene in the movie, but it didn't hit, he kept it in there and I thought it worked out perfectly. And like I said, it's one of my favorite scenes. So,
yeah, and that's the thing. I think you look back at all of his movies, he is a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's got some funny writing. Like Pulp Fiction is funny at times.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. The one thing that this movie had it and then Reservoir Dogs had a lot of it is because Tarantino is a very specific looking person. Like he's very identifiable. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a weird looking dude. I'll come right out and say it.
He's kind of a goofy looking dude.
Yeah, he's kind of a goofy looking dude. I don't particularly care for the fact that he's in every movie that he makes because when they show him, it takes me out of the movie. Like, and it did in Django. In Django Unchained, when they, do that scene where he's, captured and it's like, oh, there's Quentin Tarantino. Like, it kind of takes me out of the movie where I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a movie and that's the guy that made it. You know what I mean? And it was the same thing with the opening scene in Reservoir Dogs where they're all sitting around the table. I'm like, there's really, I don't know if he like wants to be an actor or why he does it, but there's really no reason for him to be in that scene at all.
You look at his acting credits, he's like in almost three times as many shows or movies as he has been in movies that he's directed. He's done like a bunch of stuff. I mean, he's like one of the main characters in Dusk Till Dawn, which is a movie that he wrote.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I don't mind when he's in like a Robert Rodriguez film or something and he's an actor in that film. That doesn't bother me. I just don't like specifically when I'm sitting down to watch a movie that's a Tarantino film, and there he is in it.
Like he's cameoing in his own movie.
Well, yeah, and it's like, for me, it's like a little pandering. And like I said, it just takes me out of the movie. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, okay, honestly, now he's standing behind the camera, like shooting it. You know what I mean?
I don't have an issue with it. I kind of feel like it makes me think of what's his name, M. Night Shyamalan, how he's always kind of like in the background of his movies.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have a problem with it. Sometimes I like his character in the movie that he's done. Like in Pulp Fiction, I loved his character in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it made a little bit more sense in Pulp Fiction than it did in the other films, but
yeah, like so I guess I could say what you're right. Like you're right in terms of like
in this movie specifically, in Django Unchained, it really took me out of the movie. I mean, maybe it was fine because they were transitioning from
nowhere.
They were transitioning from the second act to the third act, so maybe that's fine. But you know, it was just I don't know. It's just kind of one of those weird things. And speaking of From Dusk Till Dawn, that's a movie that I saw for the first time. I don't know. It's probably been about 8 years now. But my grandma was like watching it, and I didn't even know what we were watching. I had no idea what the movie was. I just started watching it. Yeah. And like that movie starts out really good. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's like, you know, are they going to get caught by the border and stuff like that? And then they get to the bar and everything switches and turns into this like vampire thing. And like, I'm sitting there watching the movie going like, wow, what the hell has happened here?
Where is this going?
Like this movie that was like so well written and is like so this and that. It's like the freaking like train has come off the tracks. And maybe Robert Rodriguez did it that way on purpose. I don't know, but it's just like, it's a totally different movie. And anytime you ask anybody like about From Dusk to Dawn, they all say the same thing. They're like, wow, that's a weird movie, you know?
I remember seeing this when I was young. I watched this when I was a teenager. I don't know if I snuck into the theater to watch it or if I just watched it on TV, but I love this movie. I thought this was a fun movie and I think it's because I was young when I saw it.
Yeah.
Very kind of silly at times, I would say.
See, I didn't even know when I saw it. I didn't know what the movie was called. I didn't know that it was a Robert Rodriguez film. I didn't even really know who Quentin Tarantino was or that he was the guy in the movie. Like it was that long ago, you know. It was before Tarantino kind of came back into the limelight with Kill Bill. It was definitely before Kill Bill. So, you know, he was relatively new to directing, and I don't know. It's just like, you're right. It's not a bad movie, but you know, like after we like watched it, I was like, what the heck was that movie? Like, I need to find out what this movie was. You know? Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, it's definitely it's unique. I mean, it's got like a 52 on Metacritic. So it's like, right, I'd say it's kind of like a coin toss whether.
Well, I can't imagine it did well as critics, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a movie that I would own. So,
well, they're making a TV series based on it now, so
yeah, and I hear the TV series is really good. I haven't checked it out though, so
yeah, and you know, and honestly, since then, you know, I'm obviously a pretty big fan of Robert Rodriguez's films. Like, I really like a lot of them. Like, I really like Machete. I like Sin City a lot. You know, so it was just one of those things where that may have been kind of my first exposure to like that type of movie, you know, and it was just like, it totally threw me off, you know, where it's like, you think it's going one way and then it just like takes a hard left turn to this whole other thing, you know? But I guess, you know, those movies are kind of interesting though, and I'm glad they're around. But there was one last movie that we probably aren't going to talk much about because we haven't seen it yet, but that's The Hateful Eight.
I wish going into this show that I'd had a chance to watch it, but never had a chance to see it in theaters. It was kind of a toss-up between that movie or The Revenant. I was either going to see Hateful Eight or The Revenant. We ended up seeing The Revenant instead.
Right.
But it's out on DVD, Blu-ray rental, so I'm definitely going to have to go check it out.
Yeah, I'll probably, and after we both see it, you know, in some future episode, maybe we'll do a quick rundown of it.
Yeah.
I intentionally didn't go see this movie in the theater, primarily because of Star Wars. Because Tarantino started, like, he had some, and there's people fall in two different, you know, wagons when it comes to this. Is, you know, Tarantino started complaining that, you know, he released his movie the same day as Star Wars, which is like, why the hell would you do that? That's like stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he did it because of Oscars. Like, he's trying to get it in before the end of the year cut off.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I don't know. I don't understand that either. But you know, everyone was like, "Oh, well, Disney, like, you know, they kicked him out of the theaters and they wouldn't let theaters show it unless they showed Star Wars instead of that, and whatever." And I'm like, "Of course they did. Like, it's Star Wars. First of all, every single screening I ever went to, that movie was packed. like a month after it came out. And I'm like, and it's Tarantino's fault for releasing it then. He knew, it's not like we knew like a year and a half in advance, 2 years in advance that was when it was coming out. You know what I mean? So the fact that anybody, and I would say the same thing to that movie Sisters that I still haven't seen. It's like, why would you release your movie the same day that Star Wars is going to come out? You know, like, I think people underestimate Star Wars fandom in a big bad way, and you know, maybe moving forward they won't as much, kind of thing. But I heard that James Cameron's going to start making new Avatar movies and putting them up against Star Wars, and I'm just like, hey man, it's your funeral, because you know, as much as you think everybody loves Avatar, I honestly think that Star Wars will completely steamroll Avatar.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I didn't even love Avatar. I thought it was meh.
Yeah, I watched part of it and turned it off because I was like, it's not for me.
I mean, there are cool things about it, like the animation, the cinematography, the CGI is great, but the story was meh.
Yeah, I don't particularly care for it, so I know where I'm gonna spend my money. But that's the very reason, though, like I said, that I didn't go see The Hateful Eight, because I knew I was gonna see it eventually, but I didn't want to contribute to its box office numbers, and I tend to spend my money that way. If there's a specific movie that, you know, I think deserves to do well in the box office or not, you know, I'll either will go see something, you know, right off the bat, or I won't. So, because it literally translates into, you know, if if those kinds of movies are made again, kind of thing. I'm never going to go see another Transformers movie in the theater. I'll tell you that much.
Definitely not going to see one of those.
I heard we got 3 more of those coming. Did you hear that?
Yeah, and it just baffles me. Like,
do we need another trilogy of Transformers? Really?
I would go as far to say I was angered and hated the last one.
Me too. I liked the first one. The second one was fine. The third one, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see this just because, you know, I've seen the other 2. But the fourth one, I was like, what is going on?
I remember like I liked the first third of it. I liked the intro. The story was really interesting to me. I love Mark Wahlberg. But the movie went downhill very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast. And I think that's what angered me so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we got coming up next week, Will?
Yeah. So next week, we're going to do our Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings. We've got like a versus series that we do. We did Star Wars versus Star Trek a month or 2 ago. And there are a lot of fans of the Harry Potter, a lot of fans of Lord of the Rings. We're gonna debate the two. Okay. I would say that neither one of us are massive fans of either genre or either story, so it'll be I think a really good.
That's the thing, is we're both, at least for me, I'm really impartial, because there are things about both that I did really dislike, so I can be very impartial with those two things. It's not like Star Wars where I'm all fight to the end, but
well, they're both very heavy in the geek culture, so I think this is right up our alley.
Absolutely. So. Well, that's fun. I'm looking forward to that. And don't forget to check out our podcast network, the Bat Squad Network. You can reach us at batsquadnetwork.com. All of our shows are over there. I think eventually Geek Revolution Radio might just redirect over there. I don't know. We're going to maybe move our hosting or something like that. I'll keep you guys up to date on that if we're going to do that, because it might require you resubscribing or something. I don't know. I'll figure it all out. But make sure you check that out. There's some good shows over there. You got Knights of the Octagon doing all the MMA stuff and some great interviews. And then you've got, of course, the other Mike and Mike show. You can find all these shows on the Bat Squad Network. And we actually have a podcast feed over there that you can also subscribe to, that every time any of our shows post a new episode, it just hits your feed. So if you want to listen to all 3 episodes, or you want to kind of just, be in the know of what's going on with the new episodes, just make sure you subscribe to that feed. It's available on all the podcatching clients, iTunes, wherever you listen to this at. So make sure you check that out. And until next week, I'm Ryan.
I'm Will.
Live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. GeekRevolutionRadio.com.
You've been listening to Geek Revolution Radio, hosted by William Hatton and Ryan Bennett. For more information about Geek Revolution Radio, go to geekrevolutionradio.com. Feel free to interact with the show at facebook.com/geekrevolutionradio. The intro song is called What You Want. The credit song is Riptide. Both are composed by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons. The views and opinions expressed on Geek Revolution Radio are those of the panelists and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of our sponsors. Thank you for listening.
This show is a proud member of the Bat Squad Network. For this and other great shows, head over to batsquadnetwork.com.